All right, everyone, welcome back. We are kind of fresh off of Inland Empire Strongest Man, and it was a crazy weekend altogether. And today's video, we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about how overall the weekend was pretty chaotic, having to do a full-on competition on Saturday, and of course, celebrate my baby on Sunday. So a pretty eventful weekend, but as you can see, we came with gold. We came to conquer. We came to do what we said we are going to do, win Inland Empire Strongest Man. I competed in 90 kg class for this year to end the year, and success all around. So I am super excited. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has prayed for me, who has cheered me on, who even have been against me at this point, because at the end of the day, I don't live for any particular person. Even for myself, I want to make sure that everything I do, every victory, every event, every comp is used to glorify God. And I don't want to be somebody who falls into this idea of just toxic idealism towards myself. So I always want to have that sense of accountability. And I have a great wife, a great family, a great set of friends to help do that. And all of them were very, very supportive going into this show. So just thank you to all of them. Thank you to the IE Strongest Man competition directors, meets Lawrence, Fernando, Mock, all the judges, Cass, Marshall, Ricky, America's Strongest Man, and the 80 kg class. All you guys, thank you so much for making sure you were there to help run a smooth overall comp. Thank you to all the volunteers. Like I said to people in passing, like without you guys, we have no competition. We're just a bunch of guys just lifting weights, screaming at each other, and without getting to point A to point B, we can't really do that without volunteers. So it was really cool to just be a part of that, to have good friends there as well, and just to overall just have a good show. So we're gonna talk about the show overall, the things I liked, some things I didn't like, because what's a Adrian Tapia video without some controversy? So event. We have the Trump log, so we're just gonna go by event by events, my thoughts on it, how it went personally, and just see where we get. And yeah, I started off pretty strong. The only downside to this event, yes, one of my goals for the show was to say the 270 log. I didn't really get a chance to do that this time around, just because my weight class, for some weird random order of things, went last to actually press the log, which was kind of frustrating. By the time I hit my 240 for my last warm-up, my body was already kind of cold. I was maybe standing around for maybe 30, 40 minutes. I might be exaggerating, but it was definitely a considerable amount of time to where my body has cooled off. And to go from, almost 20 to 30 minutes of just downtime to going and pressing the log, it's kind of hard. So I didn't want to risk any injury. I know this is the first event. Yes, I was pretty confident hitting either log. But I just didn't want this to be a zero event to start off my show. So I went for the lighter log, and the first crazy thing that I didn't know at the time is that I didn't know the lighter log was changed to 230. Unless I'm dyslexic, unless I misread the numbers on the actual Iron Podium sheet, I thought it was 250 and 270. So I went in to go press a 250 log for reps, and call it what it is. Could be nerves, could be me just not having a whole lot of time on 230, 250 on practice. But it felt like a good weight. It wasn't like super heavy, but it wasn't super light either. But after the first couple of reps, I knew I can get a solid 4. And shout out to Ricky and Alex for being good, consistent judges all around. I was the only one to press either one of the logs in my class out of the 2 other competitors. We'll get into that as we go throughout the show. But yeah, John and Jason, really, really solid dudes. I talked to them a little bit in passing. But yeah, I felt good. I pressed it. I could have gone for maybe 5, 6 reps if I really want to go balls to the wall, but I did not want to do that. So I just make sure, hey, we're going to go 4 reps, call it cool, call it clean, get some points on the board. And I was the first one to go out, so it was kind of a gamble. But like I said, I was the only one to press that log in my class. So I think it was a pretty good way to start the show. Event 2, man, this was definitely a highlight, because deadlift has been one of my best lifts, and axle deadlift has been just going amazing throughout prep. And I was going in mentally to hit a 620 deadlift. I really wanted to do that. I wanted to even match my regular traditional deadlift. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I actually did that. So There was a few warm-ups. Again, another rule change that I wasn't aware of going into the show. I was going in with the mentality it was going to be 3 attempts to only touch the bar. But that same day, well, actually at weigh-ins, I found out about the actual change. But they changed it to last man standing. So basically, it was just the middle section with the axle, and I believe it was lightweight, middleweight, and the 105s were all pulling on the same bar, and the bar was just increasing in weight every 20 pounds. So I like that in the aspect that I can get my warm-ups done right there and just stay warm. Couple of negatives because this is no show is perfect, and if this can help progress the show, if it does come back next year, just could be my little critique. But one of my biggest pet peeves for this event, I love the idea of us as the competitors lining up to just do our attempt or pass on an attempt as the weight increases. But man, there were so many just spectators who were just filling up the deadlift platforms to the point where I was confused on where I was actually supposed to be lining up, because it was a couple of the lightweights in front of me then 1 second, and then the next second there was just a group of guys who were just watching, talking, and spectating. So if I had to make any critiques, maybe next time some type of dividers. Maybe there could be an announcement, hey, if you're not lifting in this point in time, if you're not in line for this particular event, take a seat, step out of line, step back, whatever it may be. That was my only pet peeve, and I voiced that to my friend at Malik and my wife at the time, but I didn't want that to get to my head. So at the end of the day, I just pushed through, got through the first couple of jumps, actually, because we started at around 300. I think it was like 290 or something like that to start off fresh off the bar. And as you can imagine, it took a while to get to where I really wanted to push my max attempts. So I did a lot of skips. I did a couple warm-ups at, I think it was like 300, 415. And then I took a lot of gaps all the way to 515. And that was when I started to really see a lot of people fall off the bar, because for some people that was their last attempt. They zeroed, or not zeroed, but that's why they stopped. But for me, that was a solid opener, as you can see. But yeah, so went from there, took another couple skips, did 580, moved just as fast as my 515. So that told me, okay, 620 is definitely there. And I only really need to do 515 to win my weight class, because like I said, the two previous gentlemen in my class did not pull that weight. So all I needed was 515, but I really wanted to hit 625 for my last meet of the year. And lo and behold, once I got to 580, 600, one of the fellow 105s, I forgot the gentleman's name. I'll tag him in this video, but he actually decided to challenge me in the deadlift competition in particular. And Alex had came up to me. It was really, really cool. It's like, hey, this guy's challenging you. He wants to see how far you can go. And this was a novice 105. I follow him on Instagram. I didn't know him personally until that point. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So we both pulled 580 pretty confidently. He went for 603. And no, I went for 603. Cleaned it 100%, felt smooth. I knew I had another jump inside of me. He wanted to go pull 603 and did not get the lift. So even with that 600, I was the last one from the middleweight class to even lift. But I asked Alex, asked Ricky, can we do one more jump? I feel really good. I felt maybe like an RP, like 6 or 7. I have one solid jump left in me. And they were amazing. They loaded the weight, and bam, I was able to knock out 625 right then and there. And I had a really, really good time with that. So overall, deadlift was definitely a highlight. There were some logistic concerns, but overall, it was a great event for me. Great pull. Obviously, another event win with just 515 that I needed. And yeah, I felt really good at this point. Going into the third event, the one I was very vocal about me disliking was the yoke medley carry drag event. So obviously I kept it up pretty well when it came to the first two events. So this one I just had to get through. I was the last one to go in this event, so I just had to watch the two other guys. And I believe both Jason and John did not complete the sandbag load. So they both kind of struggled with the yoke. I just made it, my mission mentally, hey, I'm not going to drop the yoke if I can keep it moving. Going from 1.25 feet to the next 25 feet, I'll be fine. And that's what we did. And I think I mentioned this previously before. They did change the rules from being a straight 50-foot walk to 25 there, 25 back for both yoke and sandbag. And then the truck drag was going to be the full 50 feet. So that's what we did. So like I said, I kept my goal to make sure the yoke did not drop, got through it, kind of sucked mentally, transitioned to the sandbag really well. I noticed a lot of shorter athletes. I was actually kind of surprised about this, and something I kind of voiced my opinion on to a lot of the lightweight women, is that not a lot of bag shouldering. I feel like for people who are not vertically blessed like myself, I just make it a goal to like, hey, if I can shoulder the weight, if I have enough prep time to just practice those drills of just sandbag to shoulder, I would definitely make that a priority, because a lot of people I saw got stalled on the load portion for the sandbag. So obviously when you do it to the shoulder, you kind of negate that possibility. So I kept to that technique, went over 25 there, 25 back, loaded over, and it was good. And the only scare I had when it came to the car drag was the initial inertia of just getting it going, because man, I was kind of freaking out. I don't know if it was just because I was tired, my hamstrings were just gassed, but the initial just getting it going did not want to go. So I really had to do kind of almost like a power lean and pull to get the momentum going. And once I did that, shout out to Marshall, who's really helped me to encourage me, yell at me in that moment. And yeah, I just picked up some speed and finished it in about a minute 05 was my official time. So cannot complain. Like I said, it was my worst event, but again, another event win. This was pretty much a locked in bag to where like, okay, I pretty sure I'm going to take first place in this show unless something catastrophic happens. Praise the Lord, nothing didn't. But I was pretty good headspace after this. To an event 4, we have the sandbag toss at 15 feet. So big surprise on this one for myself, mainly because I did not expect to hit that 35-pound bag as cleanly as I did. Again, I was the last one to throw in that particular event, so a lot of guys were clearing the 15 to 25, 15 to 30 pound bag series, just one after the other, no stoppage. But a lot of guys got tripped up on the 35-pound bag, which it makes sense, because if you go in with the same confidence, I don't want to say cockiness, but if you don't make that last minute adjustment for the 35-pound bag, you will gas yourself out, and that's more likely for the bag to hit the bar, which again happened to a lot of guys, even to some really, really tall guys who are taller than myself. But I was able to just keep the momentum going. But that was something that I surprised myself in. I've never done that in training. It was kind of just like a YOLO, let's see what happens type throw. And thankfully it paid off. It was really, really good feeling to actually, check that box, because that's something I really want to do. The 35-pound bag would have lived rent-free in my head, and I did not want that. So yeah, I made sure that was just, consistent across the board, cleared all bags. And again, I was really happy with how this turned out. And I'm glad that I was able to, again, check off that box, because I did not want that to live rent free in my head. True story. And going into the last event. So the only downer from this show, right? Because I did one after another event doing PRs and, taking event wins. But of course, there's always got to be something I have to strive for better on, because in a sense, I'm kind of glad I did not get that last stone, spoiler, in this event, because it just gives you something further to work towards. So if I just probably give a reason, I won't call it an excuse, but a reason why maybe I just wasn't able to fully get into the stone is for when I did rush the 320 stone, because to go over the first 4 stones, first 240, 260, clear load onto my shoulder, straight to the platform, smooth as butter. It was really, really good to get those out of the way. Moving over for the 280, again, a little lower, a little heavier weight, but again, really, really good to load. Got to the 300. I made sure I did that last minute adjustment just to kick it forward, because I did not want to waste time walking the stone to the platform mid-load. I did do a little step of that, but it could have been a lot more egregious had I not pushed it forward. But again, I was able to knock off that particular bucket list of doing one more stone than last year, and of course loading a 300-pound stone in comp, which is amazing. But yeah, going back to the last stone, if I had to critique myself, I think I just rushed it. I think I was really getting to my head. I did take a few seconds to breathe before I actually went for the pick, but I just don't think my hands were tight enough. I don't think I was giving enough pressure onto the stone on the sides to fully grasp it and to actually go back to my lap. I was literally centimeters away from loading onto my lap, but it was not there that day. I think also as well, if I'm being honest, I think the 625 did drain me a little bit in my posterior train to actually get the lift. So, But if you were to ask me what sounds cooler, a 320 stone load or a 625 axle deadlift, I'm probably gonna go with the deadlift. So, but like I said, just give me something else to work towards. The only last thing I would have to say for me that maybe I need to work on is just being patient. That's basically all it is. I've hit 330 in training, so I know 320 is going to be there the next time I see it in competition. So, with all that being said, overall, great show. Once again, shout out to everyone else I mentioned in the beginning of the video. It was a really, really good show. It was a great community, great turnout. I think everything ran pretty smoothly, especially in comparison to previous years. I know Coachella's had this reputation of just going long, but hey, I think with it being at Andrew Mock's gym at the Hub Barbell, he wanted to make sure it was as smooth as possible, and I think he did everything he could to make that happen, and I think it happened. I think we got out of there around 4 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, with awards and everything. So I have no complaints on that aspect. So once again, shout out to everyone who made that show possible. It was my last show of the year. I ended with the win. I said I wanted to win, and we did it. So I just praise God for that. I pray He's able to use this victory to help, put the IE in a brighter light. I think it's kind of cool to be a Christian to represent the IE in that aspect. One of the mottos of my church is that the Inland Empire shall be saved. So it's kind of cool to be one of the strong men to represent the IE. And to grow up with that mentality, I hope God can use this in some way, shape, or form, probably in more creative ways than I can kind of think right now. In case you guys could not tell, kind of tired. Voice has been gone too, just because of this past weekend with the baby shower and, get everything together for the baby in March. But all that being said, a pretty amazing weekend. I think God has been so great and amazing throughout everything. So I just pray that He continues to use me in the sport. Obviously, I gotta be dad in the month of March, so the beginning of 2026 is going to be on pause when it comes to my strongman competition. But I am not done with strongman. So in case that was anyone's anticipation, or they're going to say, "Oh, you don't have time for competing or strongman anymore. You're not going to have any time to work out in the gym." Hey guys, I know I'm not full-time dad yet. I know he's still cooking, or she, but this is just I guess could be a personal reminder as well, is that you prioritize what you prioritize. You let on the back burner what you want to let on the back burner. So some people, they just, put working out, competing, whatever may be on the shelf, prioritize your family, 100%. But that doesn't mean you have to lose who you are. Okay. I think we have this mentality that, we have to give 130% to this child, which in a lot of aspects, I agree. But we don't want your spouse to feel deprived. You don't want your passions to feel deprived. You don't want your friend groups to be deprived, because yes, you give everything you can to make sure that baby is alive, prospers, and grows 100%. But you're going to be more beneficial to that baby's life if you keep that aspect of who you are. If you're just a shell of your former self, that baby's not getting the best of you. Okay? So give your best in everything. Don't let one thing prioritize over the other. If anything, God should be the biggest priority, so that way it trickles down to the rest of your earthly priorities, your spouse, your kid, your friend groups, your passions, your health. Put your health back up there, actually, because that's very, very important. Sorry, that was kind of a bit of a ramble, but I've been hearing that a lot, and I just want to voice my opinion that, hey, when it comes to me and strongman, I'm here to stay. So with all that being said, thank you guys for sticking around. Please like and subscribe if you like the strongman content, if you like the Christian politics, whatever it may be. Add a like, add a comment, subscribe, share the video if you can. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking around and hearing me ramble. All right. So with that being said, love you all, and God bless you.